the game can see the boxing voice.
Welcome back, gang, for the first time and hopefully many more to come. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click on the notifications right here, this little bell, so you can get those emails every time we go.
And then your pick, Mikey Spence, Saturday.
I mean, you know, may the best man win. You know, it's kind of hard to pick like the smaller guy versus the bigger guy. It's just hard to do. And at the end of the day, you know, my spirit is with Mikey to show people that, yo, he's willing to do stuff that a lot of people ain't willing to do. So that being said, can Errol Spence come up to 160 and fight us?
Would you go to 168?
Yeah, I'll go to 168. I have no problem doing that.
I heard quotes, I think you're saying that you chase Canelo up to 168?
Yeah, wherever Canelo go, I'm on his ass. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we've been on the same path a few times when it comes to fighting for the belt. At the 54, I was the 154 WBO champ. He was a mandatory at one point. I don't know what happened. I got stripped. He goes and fight for it because due to inactivity. And now we're going right back in that same thing, but it's going to be for bigger and better now. So the timing works out.
Do you think the Billy Joe Sanders thing, very last question.
Billy Joe's right there.
They do that.
All right, appreciate it. Social media, Demetrius?
Boo Boo Andre, Instagram, Demetrius Andre, Google, and you'll find everything you need to see.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Mikey is going up 2 weight classes to challenge Errol Spence, good friend of yours. You think Errol's able to avenge the loss and dethrone? I wouldn't even say dethrone because Mikey's not a welterweight champ, but I mean, you think he's able to beat Mikey come March 9th?
Definitely. You know, Errol, he's natural 147, bigger, you know, stronger. Of course, Mikey, he's working. He's you know, doing a strength conditioning to get stronger to feel that welterweight weight class, you know, and that power. And but Mike is a true champion. He's a true warrior. And he doesn't shy from the fight. You know, he's coming to fight. And Errol, I know he's just a different breed, especially at that weight class.
For sure. I mean, most would say Errol's the most avoided at 147. Yet Mikey going up to challenge him. You've been in the ring with Mikey. What would you say is his best attribute?
Timing.
Timing?
Timing, yeah. Mikey has good timing. He has power too, but he's stepping up in weight class. So, you know, I don't know how that's gonna play out, but you know, that's one thing that's best on Mikey's side is the timing. You know, he's good at thinking.
Now I got it.
Mikey Garcia.
I like Spence, man, too much of a dog. And this is what I tell everybody. Everybody that Mikey Garcia been fighting been right-handed. So when you switch it around and you take a southpaw and they pound it on that other side, it like shocks your body. Most people don't understand this. When you're used to fighting a right-handed fighter, then a southpaw that's sharp and that can punch and it attacks that other side. When the last time you seen Mikey Garcia fight a southpaw? And especially a southpaw that can punch. You know what I mean? So when Errol Spence touch him on that opposite side, you're gonna see a different effect. You know, not taking nothing away from him, but it's body mechanics too. You know, he been fighting a lot of right-hand fighters. So when you switch it around and your body get punched on from that opposite side, from the southpaw side,
It's a different angle.
it's a different angle. And you got to know how to take them shots. Like you could be in camp and prepared all day long to, you know what I mean, try to get adjusted from them shots with hair gear on. But if you're not used to getting hit with them shots, you know, with the hair get off, it's a different story.
It has an effect.
It has an effect. It's a different type of shock to your body. And that coming from a guy that's in the game, you know what I mean?
Right.
Now, Mikey came in at 145 today. What do you think about that?
A little sluggish. You know what I mean? A little sluggish. He might be in good shape, but Errol Spence, the bigger guy, you know what I mean? But you take a lot of skill and what he able to do at probably like 140, you know, the flexibility, the versatileness, you know what I mean? But you coming in, you probably be a little heavy. Are you going to have that punching power at 145, 147? I think not. So the best thing was for him to do was try to keep that speed.
Yeah, I thought that, you know, it's 147. He came in 145. I think he going to be a little light in the ass right now for Errol.
Exactly.
You know, I know this the IBF and it's going to be 10 pounds tomorrow.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but After that, you know Earl gonna at least come in at least 165.
165. Them guys, some big boys. Like, you know, I've been in camp with Sean Porter. That's my bro. Sean Porter, man, one camp, he lift me up with one arm, but he know I'm a dog at the end of the day, you know what I mean? So he bring me in the camp. For me to be fighting at 135, I shouldn't be in no camp with no Sean Porter, but them guys are at 147 for a goddamn reason. You know what I mean?
Well, I think there's a rehydration clause. I think he's only allowed to gain 10 pounds after the. Is that going to hurt him?
Well, you know,
being able to gain 10 pounds.
Like they try to do that with me with this fight, right. You know, because generally I blow up. You know, I can get up to like 154, maybe 160. It all depends. So they tried it with this fight, but when you make weight the right way, it's no factor and it's no problem. You got to think about it. This fight, you know, I weighed in 144.4, 144.4, but it was a hydration cause. I came in 45. Then in the morning I weighed in, you know, 144. I weighed in 145, and then the night of the fight, right now I'm 147. I was good though. You know what I mean? Right now I'm probably back down to 145, 144.
And also, lastly, I'm sorry, I just have to ask, Mikey Spence, who do you have and why?
Errol Spence, he's more bigger. He's a dangerous fighter.
Ken, I know he ain't here. Do you see Sean? Do you see like Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao special in Mikey? Like, because those guys showed the ability, the skill that they could jump up and weight.
No, I don't see that. But I see ambition, and that's impressive.
And then the last one is Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence. They always say the small guy can never beat the big guy, but Mikey's got IQ, and he's a different type of fighter, man. What would it take for him to be able to compete and possibly pull out the upset?
Well, I sit back and I just think about the fight, and you can't count Mikey out because he's a special type of fighter. And then you got Spence, who's a special guy too, who's a bigger fighter. Normally you're going to lean towards the bigger guy, which I am in this fight. I'm leaning towards the bigger guy, which is Spence. But, you know, I think Mikey's definitely going to give him a run for his money. I think that I don't think Mikey's going to get stopped. I really don't. I think Mikey has enough experience and ability to definitely, you know, hang in there and go 12 rounds. Now, you know, would it get too much for him because of the weight later in the fight? It's a possibility. You know, Spence is relentless. He's going to come forward. He's going to back him up, you know. But at the same time, like I said, Mikey has some of the best legs in boxing. He has a really good high IQ, and he has punching power. So, you know, he can. I think he'll do something with that, man. I think he'll be able to, with his punching power, be able to tame Spence and keep Spence at bay at times to be able to, you know, land some good combinations and to the head and the body. So I think it's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be competitive, more competitive than what people are giving it. Yeah. I don't see him walking through. I don't see him walking through Mikey because Mikey has legs, and like I said, he has a good IQ and he has punching power and great timing, unbelievable timing for a small guy, man.
And ultimately, we've been talking about the event itself. So it is Mikey versus Spence, Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia. Who do you think wins that fight? Obviously, Mikey coming up in weight. He's a 135, most people feel. So he's coming up to 147, and he's fighting the boogeyman at 147, as people call him. So or as he calls himself, the truth. So how do you feel about that fight? How do you see it going?
It's going to be a great fight. You know what I mean? It's an instant classic. It's going to be the brawler versus the technician. You know what I mean? Errol Spence is a monster. Mikey Garcia is a monster as well. So it's probably going to come back down to who has the most heart, you know what I mean, and who actually sticks to the game plan. You know what I mean? Both these guys are extremely smart, extremely talented. It's going to be a great fight. But
now, Mikey has said multiple times that he sees something in Errol Spence, and that's why he's wanted this fight. Have you seen any flaws in Errol Spence's game?
I mean, Errol Spence, you know what I mean, even if you've seen any flaws in him, I bet you by the time fight night comes, you know, he takes care of anything. I'm not saying there's any flaws in him, but if he feels like there's any of them, you know, he's going to take care of them, you know, because the fight of this magnitude, he's going to be extremely ready. But Mikey Garcia is going to be extremely ready too. It's going to be a great fight to watch. I don't know who's going to win, but I got Mikey Garcia because, you know, I'm Mexican. So.
Now, another fight coming up, Errol Spence, Mikey Garcia, right around the corner. How do you have that fight going out?
Great fight. I have to give it to Errol Spence because a good big man beats a good little man. Garcia is a great fighter, but he doesn't have the size and the strength to deal with somebody as big and as strong in their peak as Spence. Spence is a very talented fighter, in his peak, very ambitious. Garcia, I think he's a little bit older than Spence, and obviously physically smaller. A good puncher, not a gigantic puncher. So I think that all the things have to favor Spence.
So you're picking Spence. Predictions on Spence and Mikey and Crawford Khan.
I'm from Dallas, Texas, man. Spence all the way, knockout. Too big, too strong, too fast for little Mikey Garcia. I mean, we're going to see. You know, Mikey Garcia is a good fighter, a good boxer. I mean, he's an all-over boxer. I mean, you can't overlook him, man. But I just think his experience too big.
It's got to keep Errol Spence off him. I mean, Errol Spence, talking about bigger guys in their weight class, Errol Spence might be in the 155, 160-ish range. I don't see Mikey going higher than 147. He's got to find a way to keep the far bigger man off him with that jab. We're talking about one of the most skilled guys in any weight class, so he's capable of it. But they have weight classes for a reason, and I wonder if Mikey's going to be able to do it for 12 rounds.
If Mikey somehow pulls off the big upset, does he go into, and does he deserve a pound-for-pound position?
Absolutely. If it's not one, I think it's two, right behind Vasily Lomachenko. I'd put him a slightly ahead of Terrence Crawford just because of Crawford's competition would match up to Mikey Garcia's.
Errol Spence, Mikey Garcia. What does Mikey need to do? You don't even.
Well, you know, there's an old cliche in boxing that the good bigger man almost always beats the good smaller man. And styles make fights. I mean, I personally believe that Spence will find a way to win that fight, but I don't know, man. You know, Mikey's daring to be great. Maybe he knows something we don't.
On other fights as well, Errol Spence is coming up fighting Mikey Garcia. Your expertise, how do you think that fight goes?
You know, I think it's. I think Mikey Garcia is a great fighter. I think Errol Spence is a great fighter. But there's weight classes for a reason, and that's really all I can really say about it. I think it's an interesting matchup. I'm having trouble even picturing the two of them in the ring together because of the size difference. But yeah, I got Spence.
No, Mikey definitely has a chance. Remember, boxing is all about one shot. I mean, boxing, if you're not careful, then anybody could get hurt. So definitely has a shot, and it could go the distance, man. It could go the distance.
So for everyone that says like, hey, the fight won't last 6 rounds, so it could be just overlooking Mikey's boxing ability.
No, Mikey could fight. Okay. And Mikey showed that he definitely has the IQ for boxing. And you know, Robert, his dad, all of them are very smart. So I mean, I'm sure they're doing some plans and all that they're gonna make the fight very interesting. You know,
a legacy fight. What's your outlook on the fight? The keys to victory in this fight for both fighters?
You know, my big thing on it is I got it a 50-50 fight, and you know, I'm friends with Mikey Garcia, but so I'm not being biased on either. You know, everybody's saying that Mikey's crazy for jumping up to take the fight, and it's ludicrous. I mean, they say, like, I use as an example Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao came up, he was a lot smaller man than Mikey Garcia. He started off at a lot lower weight class, and he jumped all the way up to fight the likes of guys like Oscar De La Hoya, who's 5'10", you know what I mean? So if guys like that could do it, why can't Mikey do it? Mikey's probably one of the smarter fighters in a long time as far as ring IQ and ring generalship. He's tactically, fundamentally skilled. So it's not out of the question for him to make this a hell of a fight. You know, do we know that Spence has an advantage? Absolutely. Spence is a dangerous welterweight, a natural big welterweight, and he can fight. So I look at like Mikey using his advantages. He could probably break down and get through the tough parts of the fight. I think it's going to come down to the end of the fight, though. You know what I mean? Is Mikey strength and conditioning going to be able to hold up against a naturally bigger welterweight? And my opinion right now, I think it can, and I see it being an interesting fight. I really do.
So you believe Mikey has the tools to be able to weather the storm against a bigger fighter?
I think so, because I don't think he's going to be caught in as many storms either. You know what I mean? As far as my pick right now, or my opinion how the fight goes, I think Mikey's too smart to get caught up in a lot of that. You know, sometimes he's going to have to engage, and I guess that's where we'll find out, you know, what could happen.
And that's what I'm saying here is...
my thing is I don't want to hear the excuse my language, of bull crap on, you know, while Mikey jumping up 2 weight classes, because nobody said anything, though, when guys like Mosley, you know, jumped up from 135 to 147, and Pacquiao's, and these guys do it.
Broner went up to fight Malignaggi.
Yeah,
as well.
So why can't Mikey? We see what Garcia did to Broner. You know what I mean? I gave Broner 1 round. He put a boxing lesson on him. So why is this so crazy? You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden, it's crazy for Spence to do it, or for Mikey Garcia to do it. It's crazy.
Do you believe Mikey has to put something on him early to gain that respect?
No, I think it's going to start out a slow fight. I really do. They both are slow starters. excuse me, they both like to figure each other out. I think if anything's going to happen in this fight, it's going to pick up at the end. So I see it being a close fight and Mikey taking some of them early rounds. I mean, because nobody comes out and does anything overwhelming at the beginning. Neither fighter. So let's see on that.
And then last question, what's more likelier? Mikey winning the decision or Errol winning by knockout? Which ones would be more likelier?
I wouldn't say knockout, but maybe a stoppage for Errol because of the size. You know, we don't know. You know what I mean? We don't know exactly how Mikey will be able to handle that. And again, I call it a 50-50 fight, so if I give you an opinion on that or an answer, then I'll be picking somebody. I don't know. I truly don't, because again, Mikey's a hell of a boxer. I know that Broner has lost 3 of his last 5 fights or whatnot, however that is, but nobody's handled Mikey or Adrian Broner like Mikey Garcia has. So that goes to show you that the kid can fight.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I asked that, is the path to victory that many people would believe Mikey would have to do would to be outboxed and win a decision over Errol, because I don't think anybody believes he can knock out Errol.
Yeah, no, and that's the whole thing. I mean, but if you're saying it's going to a decision, I mean, we know it could go one way where Earl's picking it up and Mikey's surviving and gets to the final bell. Now you got a decision that goes to Spence. So you can't just say if it goes to decision that Mikey's going to win because it went to decision. You know what I mean? A lot of things can happen in the fight. But, you know, I think Mikey can still enough in the early rounds. You know what I mean? I think that and come down to later rounds, I think Mikey's smart enough to take a couple of the rounds. So, again, you know, this fight's not out of question for anything to happen. It's not out of the question. It's not crazy to say that Spence could knock Mikey out. It really ain't, because Spence is a very strong, dangerous welterweight. But it's not out of the question to say Mikey could turn this into a fight, a chess match, or even a dog fight, and somehow come out winning the fight by having certain strategies or game plans. You know what I mean? So I think that's what's so interesting about this fight. A lot of people were knocking and saying Mikey's crazy. You're kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Instead of saying, wow, this kid got balls, is jumping up 2 weight classes, not too many people in boxing is doing that. Everybody's kind of telling him he's crazy and he's going to get knocked out. Hey, let's just let the fight play out, you know what I mean? And hopefully more guys in the same weight divisions get the balls and start calling out the other guys.
No, Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence, Saturday. Who do you think's gonna win that?
I think Errol Spence is gonna win that simply because he's just bigger and stronger, and their skills they both evenly matched, like as far as skills wise. But Errol Spence got the edge because he's bigger. So I feel like Errol Spence will definitely get the win over Mikey Garcia.
Now a lot of fans think that Errol's gonna stop him before 6. Is that something that fans are just like over-exaggerating, or is that size difference really that big for Mikey?
Knowing Mikey, I don't think he gonna go out like that before 6, but I feel as though around 8, 9, he can get him out of there.
Now, you mentioned you sparred bigger guys, you fought bigger guys than amateurs. What does someone who's smaller have to do to overcome the size of someone like Errol?
Well, it's different styles for different fights, you know. You could fight a guy that's bigger and fight another guy that's bigger, but you can't fight them both the same way. They both might have different styles. But what I would usually do, I would try to like bully the bigger man, walk him back to let him know I'm here and I'm here we're gonna fight. And then after I get into his head and get him to feel like he wanna bang, I just go to boxing and pick him apart and make it easy.
This fight's this Saturday.
Yeah.
What is your predictions when it comes to Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting fight. You know, Mikey's very smart. He's a very smart guy, and he was the one that picked Errol Spence as his opponent. So there must be something in it behind that. I'm looking forward to the fight, and it's going to be a great fight. I really don't know what. I mean, everybody's talking about the size difference and stuff like that, but I really don't think that matters too much in this fight. You know, he was world champion at 140, so he's moved up a weight above. But I think it's going to be a very interesting fight.
Do you think people are overlooking the fact that Mikey has a chance? A lot of people's like, oh, Spence is too big, they'll get rid of Mikey in less than 6 rounds. Is that like ridiculous for people to say that?
I think so. I think if people underestimate Mikey Garcia, I think that works in his favour. And you know, they might be in for a shock. You know, I think there's a good chance Mikey Garcia could win this fight.
Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence, is this daring to be great? Is this too much for Mikey? Is there a chance?
Yeah, I think it's too much for Mikey, me personally. But his team must have seen something in Errol Spence that they could capitalize on. If Errol Spence didn't make that change in his training camp that they saw, then it's gonna be a hell of a fight. Mikey Garcia not coming to lay down, and Errol Spence coming to knock him out. So that put for a hell of a fight.
Now some fans are like, look, this won't even make it past the 6th round. Is there a possibility that those fans are too radical? You know, they're not giving Mikey any type of benefit of the doubt? Or is it just, it is what it is?
It is what it is. A lot of people think that. I myself think Mikey Garcia is going out early, but he a warrior. He a warrior. He gonna find something inside his own soul to make him go 12 rounds, win, lose, or draw.
If Mikey wins, is he pound for pound?
Hell yeah. How is he not?
Saturday with Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence. For many people who may not know, you campaigned in many different weight classes, even jumped up. Fought Jermaine Taylor, had the late great Manuel Stewart yelling at him like, "What are you doing?" Like great skills in multiple weight classes. How do you see Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence plays out?
Well, I think Errol Spence wins, but I don't think it's going to be an easiest fight than people think because he's bigger than him. Mikey can fight. Mikey's a very, 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 very skillful Mexican. You don't find many Mexicans as skillful as Michael. But you know, Earl's a monster. But I think Mikey kind of bit off more than he could chew as far as size, because that's a big welterweight. But I think it's going to be an interesting fight, because Mikey gonna really try to bring it to Errol, and Errol just have to withstand that test and go ahead and do what he said he was going to do, and take care of Mikey. So I'm very excited for that fight, though, man. It's going to be some exciting in boxing this weekend.
If you had like 15 seconds to talk to Mikey on what he needs to watch out for and what he needs to do, seeing that you went from Zab Judah to Jermaine Taylor, like I said, big jumps, what would you tell Mikey?
Well, no, it says he has to do what he's comfortable of doing. You know, people can't tell him what to do. Sometimes you have to figure it out yourself, because he's fit to be up in there with a bigger guy. You know, people can tell him this, people can tell him that, but these people are not in there with this big guy. So I think Mikey gonna have to do some adjustments himself to handle this fight.
I want to get your honest thoughts. This Saturday, Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence.
Oh, they're fighting? Didn't even know.
Yeah, well,
I had no idea. It's none of your business.
If you guys don't watch Friday night's fights on the Zone, then I'm not going to get involved.
I'm not
you
even
have
trying
to
to hear
watch
that.
Tevin Farmer. What's this guy's last name again? Carroll. Carroll fight.
Jono Carroll.
This week.
Jono.
All right.
Jono.
But this is gonna be a great fight, man.
I mean, that's two pound for pound fighters, undefeated. I don't want to give my opinion on it. I just think they're both great fighters,
I think that Mikey's an excellent boxer, one of the best boxers on the planet, no question about that. And I think Errol is one of the best as well. You know what I mean? The size does play different in fights, and I think it's a steep mountain to climb. When it gets into deep waters, like late rounds. I'm just looking forward to watching the fight, man. That's all. I'm not gonna give no predictions either. Man.
Mikey's one of the best in the world. We just got to see if he could take Spencer's power. Spencer's just, he's brutal in there.
And we have to see if Mikey has enough power to make Errol think twice. If he doesn't, Errol's gonna just try to steamroll him if he doesn't feel any steam in Mikey's punches. So if Mikey has a little pop and make him think, it's gonna be an interesting fight, man. But this is what boxing is all about. This is where the sport needs to be. These guys fighting each other, and then hopefully eventually both of them will be on the Zone, and then we get just have one home for boxing.
I don't think I talked to you about Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence.
I like Spence.
Spence?
Yeah, I like Spence.
Less than 6, after 6?
Less than 8.
Less than 8?
Yeah, I say 8 or better.
Why 8 and not like 2 or 3?
Because I just think that I think Spence is gonna maybe want to punish him. You know what I mean? I just think Mikey is a very good fighter, but he went up 2 weight class to fight the toughest welterweight and the strongest and the biggest. I think he would have had a better chance with Keith Thurman or Porter. Actually, I think he beats Porter. For what particular reason they pick Spence, I believe is more the payday. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. I love the Garcia family, but I just think that they did their homework incorrect for this fight. And the only way that I would take a fight like that, it has to be that they're going to take care of my fighter financially, pretty, handsome. Where he's going to be set. There's no way I'm going to take a fight with Spence, making $2 or $3 million when he will make more than that fighting Lomachenko. That's the reality of it. But it's a business side I have no knowledge of, what they did. I definitely, I believe Spence is the better fighter, the stronger fighter. So, wish them both the best of luck.
Is it a lose-lose situation if Spence happens to beat him, but he goes the distance?
Yes, for me, because Spence is gonna be every bit of $160. Mikey, the heaviest Mikey's gonna get maybe, I don't know, let's say about 152 pounds maybe, which is gonna make him more sluggish and lazy on his feet because he doesn't have footwork. So if it goes to 12 rounds, the victorious there is Mikey. He has to stop him to be impressive.
About Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence. I know you got this all the time. You going with Spence? Is it just because of size or skill or what?
It's because of a good friendship. It's because of the size, the skill, the hunger, the youngness. And I really like Spence for this fight.
Versus Mikey Garcia. I see your face is like making all type of. Why that? Why are you making that face? What do you think about that fight?
It's a very, very hard fight. Just because I'm a big fan of both. Just a little more on Mikey's side, just because me and him we share that same pride, that Mexican pride, and just we have that. Hard to explain, but it's just that he's like just that same blood, that Mexican blood that runs through us. But then Errol Spence too, like if it wasn't for that little Mexican pride, I just like to be realistic with everything. Errol Spence is very talented. He's just on another level to me, and they're both two of my current top 5, you could say, my top 5 favorite fighters now. So just knowing that they're facing each other, I don't want to say who has more of the edge, but it's going to be a very interesting fight, and I can't wait for that day.
If Mikey Garcia would happen to beat Errol Spence, would you make him pound for pound on the list of all these other guys? That's a pretty big jump. He's going up like multiple weight classes, and he's fighting an awfully big welterweight.
I believe so. To me, he would personally. He would. Every person below that weight category, he's beaten, and he's won titles in all those multiple weight classes below. So I feel like if he beats Errol Spence, which is a top dog at that weight, he deserves it. He deserves to be a pound for pound.
What would you say if Mikey Garcia fought Lomachenko? What would you say about that? Do you think Mikey can beat Lomachenko?
That's another hard one. Just because another one, like Lomachenko, he's in my top 5 as well. You could say top 3, honestly, Lomachenko, just because I admire his style too. Very, very different compared to other fighters. But if I were to see that fight, honestly, I would probably have to edge with Mikey. Mikey on that one.
Now, Mikey Garcia versus Errol Spence. Who do you see winning?
I think Errol Spence wins, but it's going to be a good fight early. And I think, for me, I think that Errol's weight is going to be a little bit too much at the second half of the fight.
Right, it's too big for him, for Mike. That's another division. Too big for him.
Now a lot of people was getting the speculation that Errol's just going to demolish him, stop him, 1 round, 2 rounds.
No. Mike is a fighter, and he's going to be a good fighter, like Randy said. That's not easy. It's a good fight to see. Nobody knows what can happen because Michael is a fighter. I don't expect he's more bigger, but it's going to be a good fight.
It's going to be a really tough fight early. Yeah. It's not going to be easy.
You think fans are just blowing this out of proportion, that Errol's just going to walk through him?
Of course they are, because they just looking at who Errol has knocked out, but Mike is a smart guy. Mike is not just going to get in there.
He can take a punch too.
He can take a good punch, yeah?
Yeah.
So he's a good boxer.
It's a fight to see.
I want to get your thoughts, man. Mikey Garcia week, Errol Spence week is going down Saturday. It's a lot of hype. Let's talk about it.
Man, I'm excited. I can't wait because at the end of the day, even if there is a big weight difference, I mean, it's two
top-notch fighters coming in and testing themselves against each other, and that's what you want in boxing. It's interesting. That's what we want to see. We want to see interesting fights. So even if it does look one-sided, just the fact that Mikey has the confidence to step up, you think, well, okay, where's he getting that confidence from, and is he onto something? That makes it interesting. Honestly, personally, the way I see it, you can't count Mikey out because a confident man is a dangerous man, especially when he's that confident. And he's not just the type of confident that's reckless confidence, in my opinion. If he's taking the fight, I feel like he truly believes he sees something. And I know he's, trained to the best of his ability. He's going to be mentally on. He's going to be physically sharp and mentally sharp come fight night. So I would say, personally, my opinion is that he can make it interesting for maybe 6 rounds. He might be able to make it, at most, he can make it interesting for 6 rounds. But I feel like his downfall is going to be I don't see his punches moving Errol Spence. I don't see him doing any damage to Errol Spence. I feel like it's going to be just like light sparring type punches that Errol's feeling. Like I feel like he's going to feel like, I've been hit way harder than this. I've fought. Like if he could walk down and break down Kell Brook when he was losing the early rounds, and I just don't see Mikey. I don't see him not just when the crap hits the fan with this fight. If it does, if Errol feels okay, I'm behind on points after 6 rounds. What's going to stop him from just walking through everything he's got? Hitting the body left and right over and over and over again. I just don't see him being able to stand up to that. I have a hard time saying I predict a stoppage because Mikey is so game, and I just don't want to be the guy to count somebody out, count somebody's heart out, But on paper, it just seems like the only logical way to end is a stoppage, But I would hate to see that because Mikey's one of my very favorite fighters. But if you're asking me my opinion, I gotta say I feel like he loses the decision, to be honest.
So with that being said, like I guess I'll think of topics and then a chart. Who hits harder? I know that's a very obvious question. I guess we'll just go down the list of like who hits harder, speed, footwork, stuff like that. So the obvious one, in my opinion, is Errol Spence on power.
Yeah, power, Errol Spence. Yep, power definitely is Errol Spence.
What about speed?
Speed. I mean, Errol's got quick hands. I don't. People say Errol's. I've heard people say in the past that Errol's slow in ways. Maybe foot speed maybe isn't the fastest, but as far as hand speed, he's pretty quick. So I think it's even.
What about footwork? Who you think
got the edge on footwork? To be honest, I think Mikey's got a slight edge on, just because he's going to have that advantage. I feel like just because he is a smaller, quicker guy, he's going to be able to move. Depending on how much weight he put on for this fight, though, we might not see the same foot speed because of the weight that he put on. Because any way you slice it, he had to gain a little bit of muscle mass to compete in this division. He had to. We're going to see how much so on the night. But I'd still say he probably has a little bit of an edge in foot speed.
What about ring IQ? Who do you think has the better smarts outside of physical attributes?
It's hard to say because Errol hasn't had a lot of opportunities to show his ring IQ. That's the thing. I feel like Mikey's had way more opportunities to show his ring IQ because he's had close to 40 fights. Errol's just had a few big fights, and he's been dominant in most of them. So as far as ring IQ goes, I'd say it's like I'd have to say Mikey, but just because he's had a chance to prove it. I think that Errol's got the potential to prove it to everybody, though, and show everybody in other fights down the road. I just feel like Mikey's had more of an opportunity to show his ring IQ, his smarts, his skills, because he's had more fights naturally.
Now, you've been in the ring.
Yeah.
Who do you think has a better chin?
I think,
and maybe am I overlooking that statement by saying chin, maybe heart,
heart? I don't know about heart. I think both of them have iron wills. I think they're both mentally strong, and I think they both have iron chins. But I'd have to say Errol has got one of the best chins in the game, probably. I mean, he's the type of guy you can't even picture going down. Like, could you picture him getting hit and going down on a knee? Like, I can't picture that. So I've seen him get hurt one time though in a fight.
Which fight do you see like that tells you that Errol has a chin? Like just going off of his resume.
Just even the shots that he like. Okay, he was in a firefight against Kell Brook, right? And at the beginning rounds, he took some good right hands, some good hooks, some good. He took every shot that Kell Brook could throw, and he's one of the biggest welterweights. I just think he's like strong chin like that. I just think he's got a strong neck, chin, head. He's just that type of bulldog, you know, that's got that tough chin. That's gonna have a tough egg to crack down the line. You know, he's gonna have a hard. He's gonna be the guy that's probably the hardest to get out of the ring. You know, in the welterweight division, hardest to get on the ground, hardest to drop on a one-punch knockdown. You know, I believe that at least.
So who do you think has the better defense? Since we clarify, like, you know, maybe who can take a shot better, who can avoid a shot better.
I think Mikey's got the better defense, to be honest. I think Errol's defense, if you watch his fights, I feel like he's improving, but I think he's hittable. I think, like we said, I think his chin gives him a great advantage, and you know, it's a great attribute to him. And but I think defense-wise, Mikey has better. You know, he's better at maneuvering away from shots, I feel like.
Now with the defense, I know Errol Spence is the bigger guy, but putting it together, who do you think has a better offense?
They both have pretty strong offenses. They both do. I feel like combination punching, Errol's a great combination puncher and a great body puncher. But as far as, I'd say Errol has a slight edge in offense, but they both have great offense.
Now, have you seen the press conference and the build-ups and everything for this fight?
Yeah, I have seen it. Yeah.
So to me, the part that I saw in their face-to-face they did is when like Spence is constantly saying, "Yo, keep that same energy." I've been watching Ellie setback videos. I watched all them videos, and Mikey's like, "You watched those videos?" Like, mentally going into this fight, like who has the edge when it comes to like that mental game?
They both seem pretty mentally unshakable right now. And that's what's so interesting about this fight. Because no matter what you say about the size difference, anything you can say about any of that, they're coming in and they both feel like they can't lose this fight. They both feel like they're already the winner of this fight. They both feel that way, genuinely. Errol feels that way, but so does Mikey. And I can see Errol feeling that way, like truly he can't lose because of all of his advantages. It's even crazier seeing Mikey feel that way going into this fight. You can truly see it in his eyes. Even Errol said in an interview that he doesn't see any fear in Mikey's eyes at all. And I'm just like, I've been watching this stuff and I don't see any animosity or fear. He just looks cool, calm, and collected the whole time, which is impressive. So that makes a dangerous fighter. But they both feel that way. So they're going to collide. And at the end of the day, that's when it comes down to will, you know, whose will break, you know. And that's kind of where I come to the point where I feel like Errol wins, because there's more going to be there to break Mikey's will than there will be to break Errol's will. You know, that's why I feel like that he's got the advantage.
So with this fight, there's a lot on the line. There's a lot of line on the fight for myself as well. I did a bet with Mikey and Robert, saying the fact that if they would win, I have to wear an I Love Robert and Mikey Garcia shirt for a week. Granted, the fact that. But if they win, they have to wear a Boxing Voice shirt for a week. So in that case, you know, it comes down to the X factor, I think. Like, who has the it factor? Like, outside of all the little details and stuff we talk about, like, who just happens to just have the X factor just closes this, like, the whole show?
They both do, man. They both have the it factor.
You got to pick one. Who got the X factor? Who just got the it, man? Just if you were looking at them, they could be the same weight, the same size.
Okay, so that's a good question. So you're saying if they were the same weight, who do I pick to win?
Yeah, like they would just have that special.
If I was looking at them and they were the same weight class, shoot, man. If they were the same weight class, it would be like a Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence. But I'd probably give a slight edge to Mikey if they were the exact same weight class, but with the opportunity to see and not be surprised if Errol came out and took the win. That's the way I would feel about it. I feel like Mikey had a slight edge, just because of his movement. If they were the same exact weight class, just because of his movement, but it'd be a toss-up fight for me if they were the same weight. But I'd give Mikey the slight edge if they were the same weight.
So I feel like this is an obvious question. Everyone's been talking about it. If Mikey won, is he pound for pound on your list? Because he would be pound for pound.
Yes, heck yeah. Heck yeah. He's definitely pound for pound. He's a pound for pound great, in my opinion, if he goes up and wins this fight. Because that's what, that makes him like when Roberto Duran moved up and beat. This is going to be a heck of a fight, man. Yep. It really is. This is going to be a fight because Mikey's not coming up for no reason. He's coming in there because the reason I say that and the reason I just, went down that road is because when I thought about the Roberto Duran coming up to beat Leonard, and he's just on a mission that night, and nobody saw that coming. And Leonard probably underestimated him a little bit. And he did. He said so. And on that night, Duran was the better man. And you never know what can happen in a fight. You never know. So we'll see.
So your dad trains you. He has experience. Who does he have winning the fight? I know you guys talk about it all the time.
He has Errol winning the fight pretty, one-sidedly. That's how he feels about it.
Like a stoppage, as he said.
He says he very, very potentially it could be a stoppage. We'll just have to see.
So with a fight like this, obviously we know there's a win-win situation. That if Mikey wins, hooray! If he goes the distance, hooray! And even if he has a valid effort, it's hooray.
Exactly. I think if he even goes the distance and gets a split decision, it's a win for him. He already won.
So a fight like this, where does Errol capitalize? What do you think? It's money?
Yeah, it's a big payday for him. He's first fight on pay-per-view. Really, he can't afford to do anything but dominate, really. But if it's a good fight, it's still good for him because it's still he'll still get some of the credit for making the fight happen in the first place, and the fans will be appreciative of it if it's a good fight. If he dominates, it's like, okay, that was a nice little experiment. Now it's like, let's see you fight the real welterweights. That's what people will say, So really just, exposure. It's a great fight for him. It's a fight where he can continue to grow into, his pay-per-view status and also probably have a, win-win situation. It's a low-risk fight for him. If he goes out and dominates, then he moves on to the next fight, made a good amount of money. He probably appealed to a new fan base, and he moves on.
If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars, Entitled, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.